Hello everyone and welcome to Emily vs. Art. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Krita for the very first time. As you can see here, I load it up and open a new file. I decide to go with basic canvas size, but I pump up that resolution super high because I'm never going to make the mistake again of working in 72 dpi. I try out some brush strokes and I am shocked by the amount of pressure sensitivity that Krita has. I don't know what I did to mess up the settings in Corel Painter Essentials, but I was not getting the amount of variety that I can get with the brush tool in Krita. I'm super impressed, and as you can see here, I am a bit overwhelmed with all of the options and menus. I don't know how to close things, but I get on with it. I decide to start with a little sketch of Margaret Hamilton, who was one of the first coders for NASA, and this is her standing next to a stack of her code. I really like this photo. She just looks so happy and proud, and the books are so big, but I kind of was just being lazy and trying to figure out how this app worked. Here you can see me blocking in basic shapes with colors. I don't really pay too much attention to anatomy or accuracy. I just want to see what I can do with line art and with just basically filling in shapes with a single color. It wasn't too exciting, but it was enough to make me think, I might be switching over from Corel Painter Essentials. Both are free softwares, but Krita is open source. It's not a dumbed down version of another software offered for free as a bonus for buying a particular piece of hardware, like my Wacom Intuos tablet. It is created for artists, by artists, or so they purport. And I usually think that when you're searching for free software, typing in open source rather than free is usually going to give you better results. And that was definitely true here. I had been hearing about other people using Krita, but most tutorials are done with very expensive or subscription service software. And I am cheap and don't want to pay any money until my art actually is making me money, which might be never. After I finish up my practice, getting used to the pen settings, and deciding on what my first project would be in Krita, I decided to pull up an old emotion meme. And to be honest, I don't know what the letters and numbers are, except as a grid system to identify, like, oh, look at B5 or something like that. I used to think it had some sort of special meaning, but I guess I'm wrong. I used an emotions meme by Meowtown Police, actually 2 of them, and I decided I wasn't going to be doing 60 emotions like they did. So I decided to do an ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4 grid, which would be 16 total. I tried to have some sort of theme as I worked through each row because I wanted to see how far I could push a particular emotion. And as you can see, the first face here is a quite excited little smile, perked up. And the next one is kind of the next level of that when you've begun to laugh or giggle. And the last 2 are kind of extensions of that even further. Now, I think that practicing emotions might not be something that you would consider a useful practice unless you were looking to be, say, a comic book artist or an animator. But I think that everyone should practice the ability to interpret and express emotions in any way possible. And so whether that is deciding how a dialogue tree is going to work in your video game, which requires a little bit of social awareness, to deciding what kind of emotions your animation is going to have, even to how you're going to deal with that asshole Dave who just won't shut up during your break. It takes the ability to read someone's emotions in order to respond appropriately. And that might seem like a no-duh sort of statement, but that is something that I really felt incapable of as I was growing up. I was never diagnosed with any sort of intellectual or social disability during my youth. It wasn't until college that I was officially diagnosed with depression and anxiety, but I believe that a lot of my anxiety comes from feeling socially inadequate in most situations. It's strange to say that because I am a tutor and educator, so my entire job is learning how to best present information to different personalities and learning styles. And that takes a ton of social and emotional awareness. If your student's having a bad day or isn't engaged in your lesson, very frequently you have to alter your speech patterns and the way that you are interacting with them to get a positive result that day. I don't think that I could have done this back when I was in high school or college, specifically because I was not being treated for my depression and anxiety. Many of the feelings that I used to have about my own social abilities, it was centered around the fact that everyone else seemed to have their stuff together a heck of a lot more than me. And that sort of insecurity just bled into everything from how I interacted with my teachers to how I would interact at a party. I just felt out of place. It was imposter syndrome to the max. It has taken years of hard work and mindfulness to be the person that I am today, who can be a tutor, which requires person-to-person interaction on a daily basis, where I am talking to a teenager who doesn't want to be there 99% of the time for hours on end. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, this YouTube channel is a personal challenge for me to overcome the last vestiges of insecurity, stage fright, and my inability to put myself out there in a meaningful way. I highly recommend this emotions meme if you are at all interested in delving into human emotion and how we read certain emotions onto people's faces. You may think you know what people's faces are projecting, but looking at the 60 different emotions that Meowtown Police put up and the hundreds of other emotion memes that I saw, I just decided to pick this one because I liked it. With all the different styles and ways of representing symbols, you may be surprised at how different people or different cultures view certain facial expressions. And I think we can all learn a little bit more about ourselves and the people around us by paying more attention to their body language and the way that they express themselves, both through their face and through clothing, hair, etc. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching my little emotion meme process video. I hope you guys check out Krita. If you haven't already invested in a more expensive drawing or art software, Krita seems to have a lot of functionality. The user interface is actually one of the nicest open source software interfaces that I've ever seen. For example, I'm using Lightworks to produce my videos on Windows, and I'm not a huge fan of how I have to interact with the software there. But with Krita, everything feels pretty natural. There were a few stumbling blocks, a few hotkeys that I just wasn't expecting, but in general, highly recommended. And just as a teaser, I will be working on a video about creating those avatar characters that so many storytime YouTubers use to represent themselves and their friends. I'm going to be creating one to represent myself as an avatar in the channel. You already got a sneak peek of that character in my new intro way back at the beginning. So in the end, thank you guys so much for watching and have a great one.